Can
Um,
you?
okay, it says it's recording.
All right,
Yeah, I heard the message.
cool. So yeah, if you don't mind recording and then just uploading your video to YouTube and sending me the link, you get extra credit.
All
Yeah.
right, sounds good.
Hey Dan, you get extra credit too for suggesting that.
Oh, no problem. Always got to find
Ex-
workarounds.
Extra credit for everybody.
Yeah.
You guys, I probably made this joke last time we had a class, but do you remember whose line is it anyway? When they would say that everything's made up and the points don't matter or something like that at the beginning. Extra credit is kind of the same way. It
Right.
looks like Becky, you were able to join us too. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I'm sitting in my car as well on the Beltline. Probably gonna drive by your house soon here, but yeah. Hi,
I'm in a
guys.
car. You're in a car. Dan's in a car. We shouldn't even call this an online program. We should call it a mobile program.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
This isn't the
Actually,
mobile learning course.
Right, exactly. I'm going to
Yeah,
take a
that
picture of this. There we go. That's just for myself.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you know what? I'm going to get going here. There were several people that couldn't make it. This is actually a pretty small class, even for our cohort, because we had some people that are skipping this one too. So anyway, like I said, nice to see you all again. I haven't talked to several of you in quite a while. You guys have not had 810 yet, right?
What's the
grant
title?
writing?
That's the grant writing class, which I think you'll
Yeah,
have
that's
next.
the only one. That's the only one.
Right.
Actually,
So
I
this
have
is
left,
kind of
but-
the last real class. I mean, that one is the real class, but your comps are going to be embedded in it. And this class will be hopefully as different as anything you've had, because my assumption as your professor at this point is, as advanced doctoral students, you really don't want to be in classes anymore. And you are also hopefully almost nearly self-fulfilling learners and advanced folks. So in sum, the goal of this class is twofold. One, to learn the basic seminal ideas behind creative thinking and new literacies. And we're going to do that in like 4 weeks. It's going to be like a boot camp of just readings and discussion about creativity and new literacies. And I'll come back in a second and explain to you why we're doing those two. And then the second, more important idea is for you to write a thought paper in your area that is somehow connected to creative thinking or new literacies. And it should be relatively easy for you to connect something in your interest area to creative thinking and new literacies, because they are such broad areas of scholarly thinking, right? And I'll go back to why new literacies and creative thinking. New literacies is obviously the foundation for all the learning we're doing that's web mediated right now. And that can be anything from gaming to Twitter to simulations to augmented reality. Those are all considered new literacies. So it's just a broad field that is more of a theoretical framework with which to work through all this other stuff. Affordances and constraints of the media and all that kind of stuff. But it's an important area for you to know as an educational technology scholar. The second one, I'm probably repeating myself a little bit here from EDU 800, but creativity and creative thinking are, I guess I'll let the cat out of the bag. They're my research areas, so that's one of the reasons we're going to focus on it. But the reason that I focus on it as a research area, and because the reason I think it's going to be important to you guys during your careers, is I truly believe that every field is going to continue to be more evolved with algorithms and artificial intelligence and computing, and that the one last bastion left for humanity, maybe during your careers, maybe after your careers, will be creativity and creative thinking and higher order thinking. So I want us to all be thinking about in our areas how creative thinking, whether it's 20 years from now or 2 years from now or even tomorrow, is going to be part of that evolution, and how we're going to move people in that direction so that they can still have jobs and still feel like they're producing and being productive. It's to get the foundations of all that in 4 weeks. Obviously, we're not doing everything. Each of those topics could be an entire 16-week class all by themselves. but I think you will find through the readings that you get a pretty good idea of how they can inform your scholarly thinking, and maybe even take you in a slightly different direction during your dissertation, and if not during your dissertation, certainly, hopefully afterwards in your professional career. And I'll say, Dan, even in computer science, there's a big debate, you know, about when creativity kicks in computer science as a coder. And that the higher level coders obviously are the ones that are able to do creative things that the lower level coders aren't. So anyway, that's kind of the plan. And if you've taken a look at the Blackboard, you see that I've got it broken up into 3 modules, 1, 2, and 3. 1 is, like I said, that boot camp to just get to know the seminal readings in those 2 areas. 2 is where you're going to learn about what a thought paper is and put together an elevator pitch for your own thought paper. And 3 is where you're going to write the thought paper. So this may be the last time that we have a video synchronous class for the entire summer, right? It is almost like a group independent study, the way that it's set up. Now, if you read through the Blackboard that I've got in there, you see you can work in groups. And I will say that this is probably the 4th time now I think I've taught this course. I've only had 3 group papers across 30 to 35 students. They have been pretty good papers that were written in the groups. But I think in part because people are so focused on their own areas of research right now, and because they want to run the class on their own timeline, they often write their own papers. But you're more than welcome to work in groups of 2 or 3, no more than 3. I think that's too many cooks in the kitchen after that. But we don't really need to worry about whether you're going to write by yourself or in groups for another 4 weeks here. Because the first 4 weeks, I'd like to stay on a pretty consistent timeline, because you guys, if you've looked at module 1, are going to be running your own discussion groups for each other. Once you get past the first 4 weeks, you can finish this entire class in another 3 weeks if you want to. Now, I would say that's an exaggeration, because if you write your entire paper in 3 weeks, I'll probably send it back to you and say, this is a good start, but let's do X, Y, and Z to make it even better. My goal in this class is to help you get a paper into a level of quality that we together agree can be published somewhere, right? And what I really want to encourage you to do is to take advantage of that possibility during the class. I am going to offer you my expertise as a paper reviewer and as a paper editor. So as I'm working with you with your drafts, I'm going to be like your editor. Once we get to the final draft stage, then I'm going to start acting like a reviewer and say, if I were a reviewer for a journal, this is what I would say when I got your paper. And that should allow you, by the end of this 15, 16 weeks, to put something together that you can send in, and at the very minimum, get really quality feedback from a journal, and at best, get something published. And there have been at least a couple papers in the last couple of years that have been published out of this class. Well, I think I put this in Blackboard. The paper that you write here is not designed to be one of your 3 artifacts in your dissertation. It can lead to that, but you shouldn't be able to write a thought paper about your dissertation before you collected your data, because the thought paper you would write in your dissertation would be based on what you learned from your data. Now, it doesn't mean that some of the paper that you write during this class wouldn't be repurposed and put in one of your artifacts, but in totality, this paper is not designed to be one of those artifacts. So that's kind of my spiel. In this first module, and I feel like I'm repeating myself if you guys have read the Blackboard, but each of you is expected over the course of the next 4 weeks to run your own discussion group. And you can do that in any format you want to. You can do it like this. You can do a live Zoom recording, a Zoom synchronous meeting. You can also do a week-long Twitter conversation. However you feel you can best facilitate conversation to help people understand the nuances of the articles that you choose to present is your choice. And you should be presenting about 2 of the creativity articles that I've listed in the class, 2 of the new literacies articles that I've listed in the class, and 2 additional articles you found on your own that you would think extend the ideas of those. So that's really all I want you guys to think about for the next 4 weeks, is getting your discussion ready, going to other people's discussions, and really just immersing yourself in these ideas of creativity and new literacies. Then when we're done with that, we'll start the elevator pitches, think about thought papers, and move forward there. There is a suggested timeline in Module 3, which is where you would write the paper, of outlines and drafts and redrafts. I will tell you, if you follow that outline, you will get significant feedback at all those points. If you come earlier than that timeline, you will get equally as significant feedback, but I'll be honest, it may not come quite as quickly, right? So if I say I need a draft from everybody, I don't remember the dates, on October 17th, everybody that gets me a draft by October 17th will have feedback by like October 20th. But if you get me that draft on October 1st, it'll certainly come before October 17th, but it's not going to fit into my workflow as well in terms of efficiency of looking at everybody's papers. But I would say if you want to accelerate the timeline of your writing to get this class finished in 10 to 11 weeks, you can expect that my feedback even on your early drafts will be no more than 4 or 5 days. I won't be able to get back to you as quickly depending on what's happening that week if I'm traveling at a conference or something like that. If you are way behind the suggested schedule, like if I say there's a draft due on the 17th and you don't get me that draft until the 30th, as you can imagine, I may not be as motivated to get you your feedback if you're not working hard to get me your drafts on time. You do have the flexibility to write this on your own timeline though. If you are working on, something else in another class, or work is crazy and you just can't get me a draft on time, just send me a quick email that says, you know what, I'm behind by a week and I'll get you this, but I'm still working on it. So I guess what I want to say is there's inordinate flexibility built into this. The best way for you guys as students to take advantage of that flexibility is just to, give me a heads up as to the flexibility you're hoping for, either early or later, and we'll work out timelines to make sure that you're getting all the same levels of feedback at a time that works for you. So I'm going to stop talking because you guys know I can talk and keep going. And I want to say, with all that said, with you having looked at the website, what questions, concerns, comments, suggestions do you have at this point to make this class really work for you? And if none, it just means that I have designed the perfect class and that you guys are super psyched to get running and start reading and signing up for your discussion groups. I will say that anybody that jumps into the Blackboard wiki tonight and chooses what date they want to do their discussion is going to be way ahead, right? Like tonight's the fertile ground, because by Sunday, maybe everybody has chosen their night and you want to do it on Wednesday the 17th, and there's 2 other people doing Wednesday the 17th and you can't. So I would recommend that you jump in that wiki, look at your calendar and pick a date, or you might want to pick a week. If you're going to do an asynchronous discussion, either in Twitter or in a bulletin board or somewhere else, you want to pick a week and say, I'm going to do my asynchronous discussion over this week. If you're going to do a one-night thing, you want to pick that one night and start advertising it. And you'll see in the instructions that you really are kind of expected to advertise it and tell people what you're going to talk about and get them the articles and try to choose times that you think you can get at least 2 or 3 other people to show up. And you're expected, I can't remember, I think I said you're supposed to go to 3 other sessions. So you run a session and go to 3. And I've got a spreadsheet in there that together, you and I will keep track of when you host and when you've been to one and all that kind of stuff. If you remember from EDU 800, I'm certainly not somebody that cares that much about grades. You will get grades in this class, but as long as you do all this stuff, you'll be fine. Again, hopefully the goal here is to produce a high quality piece of scholarship, and then grades don't matter either. So again, I'll pause and say, questions, concerns, comments. I'm realizing that I've gone from you being able to see me to being like a shadow on the left here, because there is like a giant thunderstorm coming through and the sky's just darkened immensely. So Becky, you may be, I don't know where you stopped, but they might be coming right at you.
I'm sitting at the cat right off the Beltline, and it is like I'm watching it come in, and I'm getting darker and darker too. I'm gonna be just like you in a minute. But
Yeah,
I was going to
okay.
say, I was very impressed on how organized your blackboard was and not on the WordPress. Great job. The class looks amazing, and just proud that you're using the LMS. So
Yes.
thanks a ton.
I have been chastised a few times at Central, and I just had to redesign a course this summer for the master's program, and they forced me back into Blackboard. So I'm acquiescing a little bit and trying to be open-minded. So
Well, good job.
thanks.
How
All
many
right.
total scholars are in this class? How many do we have? I'm just curious.
We had 9 the last time I looked. Let me look again
Okay.
while we're online here at my roster. I think we might have lost one, but I can't remember if the 9 included her or not. Right now we should have
pretty good
9.
size
We should
for it.
have Sue, Ryan, Michelle, John, Dan, Adam, Corrine, Becky, and Michael. So we should have 9 altogether.
Oh, nice. Okay. So we need to participate in at least 3 of the other.
Right. So you'll run
activities.
1 and participate in 3.
If we do it through Twitter, do we end up having outsiders participating, or do we close it off to?
No, what I usually do with like a Twitter conversation is you just make up a unique hashtag and everybody just follows that hashtag. And I mean, somebody in theory could jump in, but it's never happened. You know, if you pick a unique enough hashtag, nobody will ever see it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. I mean, it'll show up on your Twitter feed, I guess, and people could try to follow it. I think you can tweet privately though. But we've done several Twitter conversations in this class, and it's never been an issue that somebody like crashes and, you know, anything like that. So.
Would it be okay
Okay.
if somebody did? Like, if we're talking about creativity and innovation, like a George Couros or somebody like that, if they jumped in, if they were invited and they jumped in to weigh in because they're
That would be amazing. That would be like super
okay.
bonus points. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, you literally, like, you can do anything you want to with your discussion. If you know somebody that knows more than you about this and you want to bring them in as a guest lecturer, that is absolutely fantastic. All right, I think I can see, Becky, you are darkening a little bit on your screen. Yeah, that looks nice. All right. So again, I'll say, any other thoughts, questions, concerns? I would love it for somebody to jump in and try to maybe do their discussion at the end of next week, just to make sure that we're, you know, keeping everybody on their toes and spreading them out over the course of the next 3 weeks. But with only 9, if we try to do, I guess we could do 4 during week 3 and 5 during, I mean, it would be much better if we just did 3 during week 2, 3 during week 3, and 3 during week 4. But again, that's up to you guys. In part of your responsibility is to make sure that you're doing it at a time that other people can come in. So that requires, you know, you can use what is the online scheduler that everybody uses all the time? Doodle. You can do a Doodle poll, or you can send out an email or something like that. But don't just pick a time and then say, hey, this is my time. You know, make sure you've reached out to the class and CC me on all this stuff, because I'll tell you if I'm going to be available too. I don't have to be at your discussion though. Of the 9, I expect that I'll get to 4 or 5, but based on schedule, I want you guys to schedule it that you can get to. It's more important that you guys are getting to them. And then if you're doing this, you can record it, or if you're doing a Twitter, there'll be an archive of that, and then you can send me any questions and stuff that come up, and I'll respond asynchronously to your discussion to try and extend it. So. All right, well, let's see, it's 8:27? That might be the shortest Zoom I've ever had, if you guys don't have any more questions. And
It's great to have it all laid out like that. I mean, you can look over the whole course and see it sort of globally,
yeah.
so it's really clear.
Good. Yeah, and I guess I should have asked this before. While you're all thinking about the class, I can ask just a general question. How are things going in the program for you guys? Like, again, I haven't seen you in a year and a half. It seems like if you're still here, you must be doing okay. Does anybody have any really serious programmatic concerns? I don't know if you know. I think you'd probably do. I'm not the director anymore. Summer and Ray was the interim last spring when I was on sabbatical. So I can still answer questions related to the program. But I'm kind of back focusing on research and teaching a little bit more. And as you might imagine, probably a little bit okay with giving up some of my administrative responsibilities for a while. I think we'll probably cycle every 2 or 3 years in the program and have different people be a chair. As you link,
I think you're freezing. Is that happening with anybody else?
I can still see you.
It's not happening with me. I can hear you, Adam, and I can hear Mike just
Okay,
fine too.
sorry. Maybe it's
Can
my
you hear me now, Adam?
Yeah, no, you're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was just saying, if you could take the video of this and throw it up on YouTube for me and send me the link, I'd appreciate it.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And I'll get that out to everybody else.
Okay.
Otherwise, please, again, feel free to text me or email me anytime, and I will get back to you within 24 hours with concerns, questions, comments. And Becky, I would absolutely like, Becky is one of my advisees. I'm not giving her special circumstances here, but we live in the same town, so we're going to try and get a coffee here soon and catch up. But I'm really very flexible for the next month, Becky. Like I'm here, I'm not traveling, and I don't have a lot of meetings. So if you want to send me 3 or 4 times that you could be in the area, I can probably make one of those work.
That sounds good. I'll
Okay.
send you an email. So
All right.
yeah, there's some really great new coffee shops in Ada too. So
There's all kinds of good stuff in Ada.
I know.
I go there. I am a little worried that they might not fill all of the square footage they have there, but
yeah, but it looks nice.
It looks great. Yeah, almost like a little Disney town.
I know.
We'll take pictures and send them to the rest of you guys so you know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But one of the little villages in Grand Rapids was basically just completely redesigned from the ground up, and it was paid for by the Amway people because their factory is like across the street from this village.
It is.
So it's really nice. So
Cool.
Okay, well, again, you would see me waving. You can see my hand moving a little bit there. But I'm waving goodbye, and I'm going to leave the meeting. So again, good seeing you guys, and we'll touch base soon.
All right, talk to you soon.
Thank
Thanks.
you so much.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye-bye. Bye.